And I think the ideology that you're preaching here is in more than one way Islamophobic. And let me explain to you why I believe so. I will equally condemn Hamas right here on the spot so we can all be clear in this room, right? Thank you for that. But what you are saying, right? And you talk about the treatment of blacks, you talk about the treatment of women, right? You talk about the only democracy in the Middle East. You talk about Arab inability to forge nations, to forge countries. You talk about the lack of existence of a Palestinian.
Don't only talk about it.
I understand. That's you're making my point for me. Thank you. You talk about the lack of existence of a Palestinian identity, and with all due respect, I know you're Palestinian, or some would say that you are. So you have a right to, disavow yourself of that. But you do not have a right to tell other people that their identity does not exist. I believe that it is incorrect, it is immoral to say what identities do and do not exist, to dictate. That is almost the definition of being a bigot, right? And I'm not trying to name call right now, I'm just trying to call it how I see it, right? And so if we can both agree that we're going to condemn Hamas, but also equally refrain from being Orientalist, refrain from being Islamophobic, then we can have a productive conversation. But I am sorry, sir, your rhetoric is inflammatory. You trade in fear. You trade in fear.
Now you're accusing me.
You're accusing me. Closing point.
It's your point to just accuse me.
Closing point.
Okay.
I'm calling it how I see it, so feel free to retort. But this is my last point. So Samuel Huntington has this idea of the clash of civilizations, right? And I saw you spoke to Sam Harris. Sam Harris subscribes to this idea as well. But you portray this idea of the Islam versus the West. Islam versus the West. And I think this is a very, very dangerous idea. If we're both talking about Islamists, right, we can kind of get on the same page. But you say Islamist, but in your rhetoric you describe the Islamic civilization generally, proper, right? So let's just make sure we're getting clear about that. But I think that is inflammatory. I think that you're trading in fear, and I think that is very, very harmful. And that's just what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Yeah, well, look, you can call somebody who's not familiar with a phenomena that they have a phobia of that. Like someone has phobia of something that is unknown to them. You can say that. You can say this about anybody who did not grow up in that region. But as someone who went to a Sharia school, someone who memorized huge portions of the Quran, someone who speaks the classic Arabic, someone who studied so many Islamic denominations, you cannot accuse them. Are you listening to my answer? You see, you're busy right now, right? Suddenly you're busy.
Listen, I heard exactly what you had to say, and I agree. Islamophobic.
But you want to debate me right now?
Maybe after.
But you want to debate me? Then you need to listen to me until I finish.
Please.
Sit down and listen. Okay. So I speak on experience, much longer experience than your experience combined. Not to reduce you, but have you been to a Sharia school? No, but I lived. You haven't. Have you studied the Sharia? Have you studied the Sharia, the 4 major books of legislation? Have you studied them? So name the 4 main sources of Islam. Why you cannot do it? You said that you studied it.
When you have Sharia, you're talking about Sharia jurisprudence, you have...
I need the sources. There are 4 main sources of Islam all Muslims agree on. What are the 4 sources?
You have Sunnah, you have Hadith, right? You have Quran, right?
That's not it. That's not it. You forgot Qiyas and Ijma'. So please sit down and listen. Please sit down and listen. I don't have phobia of Islam. I was born in Islam. You cannot tell a cub that they have a phobia of cats. Because this is their environment. You know, you tell somebody who never been to the situation Islamophobic. But I, as a son of the religion, I don't have a phobia. I have the right to rebel. Look, man, I like to build bridges, but false accusations I don't like. And I don't like hypocrisy. I like free people who don't hide in the crowd.
Great point at the end. If you want to understand the conflict better, or you want to, I don't know, you're on the fence, you don't really understand the topic that well, my recommendation to you is exactly what Mosab, Hassan, Yousef just said. Buy a plane ticket when you can, financially, and fly to Israel. See how Arabs are treated. See how Jews are treated. See the coexistence with your own eyes. Visit mixed cities like Tel Aviv Yafo, or Lod, or Haifa. And I can promise you one thing. You will leave not the same as you came in. I can promise you that. All you have to do is just travel. Stop listening and consuming the information coming from the news, or from TikTok, or from Twitter. Look at the people spreading the misinformation. It's mostly Muslims. It's Abdullah and Muhammad and Yousef. These are the people spreading the misinformation. So if you truly want to get an authentic picture, an authentic experience, see it with your own eyes, visit Israel when you get a chance. Please do yourself a favor. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And until next time, bye-bye.